Hello student, this is Palla Darbari, your host, and you're watching Palla Darbari classes. In this video, we will discuss Chapter 7, Directing, Business Studies Class 12th. This is the fourth volume of the chapter Directing. In this video, we will discuss the meaning of communication. We will see the types of communication, and we will also discuss the communication barriers. Let us see the meaning of communication. Communication refers to the process wherein people exchange ideas, feelings, facts, etc. among themselves. So communication is the process where people exchange ideas, emotions with the other person. Let us see the elements of communication process. In the communication process, we are having 8 elements. For the communication, we should have the sender. He is the person who is having information and who want to share the information with the other people. Message. The second element is message. Message is the idea, emotions which the person is having with them, which he want to share with the other people. The next element is encoding. It is the process of converting the message to be sent into symbols that are generally used in communication. Next element is media. It is the path used for transmitting the encoded message. The next one is decoding and receiver. We should have the receiver. He is the person for whom the communication or the idea is being framed. He is the person who is sitting on the other end and he wants to receive the message. The message which he receives will be encoded by him. The next comes the feedback. Feedback refers to the action performed by the receiver to deliver the facts that he has received and understood the message. The last element is noise. Noise refers to the hindrance in the communication process. So here we can say that in the communication there are 8 elements: sender, message, encoding, media, decoding, receiver, feedback and noise. Let us discuss all the elements in detail. First is sender. Sender refers to the person who initiates the process of communication and sends his thought or views to the receiver. The second element is message. It is the content or the matter that contains the ideas or suggestions to be communicated. Then encoding. It is the process of converting the message to be sent into symbols that are generally used in communication. The next element is media. It is the path used for transmitting the encoded message. These can be in the form of email, SMS, internet chatting, through Facebook, etc. Then comes the receiver. Receiver is the person who is at the end side of the communication and receives the message from the sender. Then comes decoding. It refers to the process of converting the encoded symbols that are used in the message. Then comes feedback. Feedback refers to the actions performed by the receiver to deliver the fact that he or she has received and understood the message of the sender. The last element is noise. It refers to the hindrance or the obstructions in the communication process. It can be in the form of a poor telephone connection, inactive receiver, ambiguous symbols, etc. Now let us see the importance of communication. The communication is having following importance. Number 1 is helps in achieving coordination. It is only through good communication that the goals and the objectives of the communication can be explained and clarified to the employees. Once the goal is communicated, then the coordination is possible. So we can say that because of communication, the coordination is possible in the organization. The next is it enables the smooth functioning. Communication is the essence to carry out various activities in the organization. If the communication is good, then all the activities like motivation, leadership, in fact directing is going on in the organization fluently. The next is base for decision making. Remember one thing, managers get the vital information, and with the vital information he can take the decision, and the manager get the information only through the communication network. So because of communication, the manager get the information, and after that he is in the position to take the decision. The next comes is improves managerial efficiency. It is only through proper communication that manager get informations, and he can instruct and order his subordinates and supervise their work. So manager can efficiently do the work with the communication. The next comes is promotes cooperation. Communication maintains coordination and understand. Because of communication, the manager can understand the problems of the others, and while understanding the problems of the subordinates, he is in the position to maintain cooperation in the organization. Then comes encourage leadership. A leader can influence others effectively only through good communication. So here we have seen the 6 importance of the communication. Let us discuss all the importance in detail. The first one is helps in achieving coordination. Good communication is highly essential to coordinate the activities of various departments and individuals in the organization. It is only through good communication that the goals and objectives of the organization can be explained and clarified to the employees. Such interaction promotes coordination and integrate the activities towards the common organizational goals. The second importance is enables smooth functioning. Effective and continuous communication ensures that various tasks are carried out in a smooth manner without any hindrances and interruptions. Next is base for decision making. Through communication, managers get important information that is required for proper decision making. Next is improves managerial efficiency. Communication is required for effective performing of various functions of the management. For example, it is only through proper communication that the manager can instruct and order his subordinates and supervise their work. Next importance is promotes cooperation. Effective and healthy communication helps in maintaining cooperation and understanding among the employees. It only helps in maintaining a coordinal working environment. It helps in a smooth and efficient process of work in the organization. Last one is encourage leadership. Leadership cannot be exercised without good communication. A leader can influence others effectively only through good and impactful communication. Let us see the types of communication. See, there are 2 types of communication. Number 1 is formal communication, and the number 2 is informal communication. Let us discuss the formal communication first. Formal communication refers to the process where the messages, facts, informations, etc. are exchanged through the officially designed channel of communication. In short, we can say when the communication is going on according to the formal line of communication, it is called formal communication. Let us see the types of formal communication. There are 2 types of formal communication. One is called vertical and the other one is called horizontal communication. Let us discuss the vertical communication first. It is the process. The communication flows either upward or downward in the organization hierarchy. Let us see the type of vertical communication. There are 2 types of vertical communication. First one is upward flow. Here the communication flows from the subordinate to the immediate superior. The second one is downward flow. Here the communication flows from the superior to the subordinate. Now let us discuss the second type of formal communication, that is horizontal communication. In this process, a communication flows across departments or divisions. Following are the various types of horizontal communication. The first one is single chain. Here the communication link between the superior and the subordinates is extended to all levels of management. That is, an individual can communicate with his subordinates, who in turn can communicate with his subordinates, and so on. The next one is wheel. Here all the subordinates reporting to a superior are allowed to communicate only through the superior. The next one is circular. In such a network, a communication flows in a circular chain among the members in a group. That is, each individual can communicate only with the adjoining two persons in the group. Then is free flow. Here the communication flows freely and any person can talk to anyone in the organization. The next type is inverted V. In such kind of network, the subordinate are allowed to communicate with their immediate superiors as well as with their superior. In short, it is that type of communication when the subordinates are allowed to communicate with their immediate superiors as well as with superior. Let us discuss all these through the chart. The first one is chain. Here we can see that A can talk to B, B can talk to C can talk to D, and D can talk to E. A cannot directly talk to C or C cannot directly talk to A. I mean, they will follow their instruction in a chain, so it is called chain or line communication. The next one is wheel communication. As we can say, every subordinate will communicate through the superior. If E want to give the message to B, then firstly E will talk to or transfer the information to A, and A will give the information to B. It means whosoever want to communicate, he will communicate with A only. That is called wheel. The next one is circular. It means that a person is allowed to talk to two people at a time. For example, D can talk to E and D can talk to C can talk to D, and C can talk to B. That is called circular. The next one is all channel or all path. It means everybody is allowed to talk to everyone. So that is called all channel or open. Let us see the advantages of formal communication. First is information flows systematically in a proper order. The second advantage is the original source that initiate the communication can easily be located. The next one is when the communication flows following formal network, the proof of communication is automatically maintained. The next one is such communication helps in improving control over tasks and activities. Let us discuss the limitations. The first one is the formal communication may lead to perpetual delays. The next limitation is formal communication do not provide adequate recognition to creative talent. The last one is more emphasis on structure and work, difficulty to understand all human relations in an enterprise as its place. Let us discuss the informal communication. The other name of the informal communication is grapevine communication. Informal communication is communication that flows without following the formal definite path. Let us see the types of informal communication. The first one is single strand network. In this network, the information is spread from one person to other in a sequence. That is, one person communicates to another, who in turn communicate to some other persons, and so on. The next one is gossip network. In gossip network, one person shared the information with many other person. Next is probability network. Here an individual shared the information randomly with other people. That is, the person is indifferent about who he shares the information with. Next is cluster network. In this kind of network, the information is first shared between two individuals who trust each other. One of them then passes the information to other persons and so on. These are the types of informal communication. Here we can say that A will pass the information to B, B will pass the information to C, that is called chain. Gossip means anybody can give the information to anyone. Next is probability. It means A will give the information to F and D, F will give the information to K and G, and similarly D will give the information to two people and so on. In the case of the cluster, it means that A can give the information to any person and the other person with whom the information is being transferred will give the information to any other person. Let us see the advantages of informal communication. The first advantage is the information flows faster. The second is the employees develop interpersonal and social relations among themselves. The next one is sometimes it helps in divulging the true response of the employees on certain matters. Let us see the disadvantages. First is it can take the form of gossip or rumors. The next is through informal communication, the confidential information may also get leaked. The next is it is very difficult to identify the source of communication. Last one is no proof of communication can be maintained in such a system. Let us see the difference. On the basis of meaning, we can say formal communication refers to the communication that flows through the officially designed channel of communication, whereas informal communication refers to the communication that flows without following the formal defined path. The next point of difference arises from formal communication arises from the defined authority, whereas informal communication arises out of social interactions. Next point of difference is nature of relationships. Here the relationship is formal, here the relationship is personal. Next point of difference is speed of flow of information. Information flows slowly in the case of formal communication, whereas information flows quickly in the case of informal communication. The next point of difference is nature. It is rigid, whereas informal communication is flexible, dynamic. The last point of difference is maintenance of record. In the case of formal communication, records are maintained for future purpose, whereas in the case of informal communication, no records are maintained. Let us discuss the communication barriers. Communication barriers refers to the hindrances or breakdown in the effective flow of communication. Let us see the types of communication barriers. See, there are 4 types of communication barriers. The first one is semantic barriers, second one is psychological barriers, then organizational barriers, and the last one is personal barriers. Let us discuss the semantic barriers first. Semantic barriers are concerned with the problems and obstructions in the process of encoding and decoding the message. Let us see the types of semantic barriers. First is badly expressed message. Second is symbols with different meaning. Third is faulty translation. Next is unclarified assumptions. Then technical jargons. And the last one is body language and gesture decoding. These are the types of semantic barriers. Let us discuss every semantic barriers in detail. The first is badly expressed message. It means use of inadequate vocabulary, incorrect words, omissions of important, etc. Because of which what happens, the message gets distorted and the person is not in the position to understand the true essence of the message. The next one is symbols with different types. Some words may have multiple meanings. While communicating a message, sender may use words having multiple meaning. Ineffective communication comes when the receiver receives it with different perspective. The next type is faulty translation. The communication may be ineffective if the translation of the original message is done by a translator who is not proficient in both the languages. The next type is unclarified assumption. Some communication is backed by assumptions which may be interpreted differently by different individuals. The next type is technical jargons. The communication will become ineffective if the technical word is being used and the person don't know the meaning of the technical word. The last type is body language and gesture decoding. If the body language and gesture of a manager do not match with the words used to communicate instructions, then the receiver may get confused and perceive the wrong information. Now let us discuss the psychological barriers. The emotional and the psychological factors may act as barriers to effective communication. Let us see the types of psychological barriers. The first one is premature evolution. Second is lack of attention. The third type is loss of transmission and poor retention. And the last one is distrust. Let us discuss all the psychological barriers in detail. The first one is premature evolution. Some people have the tendency to judge or evaluate the meaning of the message even before sender completes his message. The next one is lack of attention. Lack of attention is one of the main reasons of misunderstanding among the superiors and subordinates. The next one is loss of transmission or poor retention. If communication is passed through various labels or channels, it may result in complete loss of transmission. The next one is distrust. If two people do not trust each other, they may either try to hide or withhold information or do not try to understand the message in original sense. Let us see the next type of communication barrier, that is organizational barriers. The factors related to organizational structure, authority relationship, rules and regulations act as a barrier to effective communication. Let us see the types of organizational barriers. The first one is organizational policy. Second is rules and regulations. Third, status. Fourth, complexity in the organization. Fifth, organizational facility. Let us see the first one, that is organizational policy. If the organizational policy does not support free flow of communication, it may hamper effective communication. The next is rules and regulations. Rigid rules and regulations may act as a hurdle to communication. The next is status. A status conscious manager may consider themselves as superior and maintain distance with their superior. This will with their subordinates. This will restrict the flow of free flow of information. The next is complexity in organization. In the organizational structure, there are large number of managerial levels and large number of employees, and sometimes it may result in delay in communications. The next is organizational facilities. Lack of well-established process of communication and facilities for free flow of information may create communication problems. Let us see the next type, that is personal barriers. The personal factors of the sender and the receiver may influence the effective communication. Let us see the types of personal barriers. The first one is lack of proper incentive. Second is unwillingness to communicate. Third is lack of confidence of superior on his subordinates. And the fourth one is fear of change to authority. Let us discuss all the hindrances, barriers in detail. The first type of personal barrier is fear of challenge to authority. If the superior has the fear that sharing of specific information with his or her subordinate may affect his authority adversely, then he may withhold or suppress such information. The second type is lack of confidence on subordinate. If the superiors do not have confidence on the competency of their subordinate, then they may not share important information. The next is unwillingness to communicate. Some subordinates may not confident or willing to communicate with their superiors with the fear that they may be misunderstood and it may adversely affect their interest in the organization. The next is lack of proper incentives. Subordinates may not give proper feedback, share market information or suggestions to their superiors if there is no financial or non-financial incentives for initiating positive communication. Let us see how we can improve the communication or how we can remove the communication barriers. The first way by which we can remove the communication barrier is clarify the ideas before communication. Superior may have clear and detailed understanding of the message before it is communicated. If the superior have understanding, then the barriers cannot arise or disturb the communication. The next is communication according to the needs of the receiver. Sender must consider receiver's education, knowledge, experience while communicating the message so that the barrier will not disturb the message. The next is consult others before communicating. Superiors must consult subordinates for suggestions or advice for effective decision making. The next is convey things of help and value to listeners. A message to be communicated must consider the interests and needs of the receiver. Then ensures proper feedback. Feedback from receivers ensures that the message is received and understood. The last one is be a good listener. Communication must be a patient and attentive listener to understand the receiver's problem related to understanding and implementing message. These are the ways by which we can make the communication effective. That's all I have in this video. Thanks for watching. God bless you all.